Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the team that you can run if you watch TikTok all day and have the attention span of 5 seconds, as you don't even have to take a look at the screen really. You just tap on the screen and you're going to be fine. We're going to have the most toxic and fastest team for the current Psychic Cup here, with Shadow Gardevoir, with the Bruxish, with Bite, which is really important for this Pokemon, as well as the Rapidash as a safe swap. But you see already the Rapidash is running something more spicy. It's running high horsepower, and we're going to take a look at this one today as well, and why it's so important for the team, because it is very important. But yeah, this team is literally for the attention span of some TikTok watchers. As we see here right now, you can just literally click on the fast move button. You don't even have to look on your screen. You can just do something else on the side, which I actually did for most of the parts. So I didn't play everything perfectly correct either. I actually lost some battles because of this as well, but honestly, I did not really look at the screen. So if you want to get some free cheap wins during the time right now for the Psychic Cup, this might be the team to go for you. There are going to be some counter teams as well, which is, for example, Melamar plus the good friend, the Galarian Slowbro, which is kind of funny because I didn't even expect this, and that's the exact reason why we are running high horsepower. Goodbye, Slowbro. Yeah, basically this flips the entire game for us. We will be able to win this game because of this now, most likely, as the opponent going to have a Claydol in the back. I should have went for the Body Slam though, which maybe makes this now a little bit more awkward. If I went for the Body Slam, it would have most likely been a little bit better for me, but I also still know that I'm going to have my Gardevoir in the back, which is going to have a great time against the opponent's Melamar, so it's going to be totally fine for us, as there's not a lot that they can do about it, and we were able to realign, which was amazing for us, and we can just do a ton of damage with some charm here. So we have triple Axel on the Gardevoir as well. Doesn't really come in clutch too often because you rarely get to the move in general. You're just going to farm on opponents anyway. But if you're going to have something like a Gardevoir in the lead, you're going to swap out into your Rapidash, trying to bait out a potential Galarian Pokemon there, Galarian Slowbro, Galarian Slowking, and you will be able to hit them with the high horsepower, which is just a very cool tech move on this Pokemon, and just helps us team out quite a bit, because there is the very common line of having Melamar in the lead and the two Galarian bros in the back there. But you can kind of flip this around if you're going to hit those high horsepowers against them, and this is basically the only real win con. Way better than the Mega Horn, even though Mega Horn is better in general for this Pokemon. In this scenario, the high horsepower is like something that people just don't really expect. And here we're going to win while the opponent still has 2 shields left. We have so many games in here right now. Next opponent, Melamar in the lead. Let's see what we can do here. We're of course going to swap out immediately into our Rapidash. In comes a Shadow Metagross. Fun Pokemon to use, but I don't know if it's going to help them too much if they're going to get hit by a high horsepower. Goodbye there. The opponent forfeits, and we can move on to the next one right now. Like, honestly, we are 3 minutes in and we are already in the 5th battle for today, and we have a ton of battles here to come, because I actually did like nearly 4 sets with this team, went crazy positive in total, even though I didn't even pay too much attention towards the battles either, because it's just so easy to play this team. It's literally no rocket science at all. Basically, just try to farm down anything that you can with your fast moves in general, with both the Charm as well as the Bite. But if you have something like a neutral lead, swap out into your Rapidash, because you kind of want to get out a potential Galarian Slowbro, Galarian Slowpoke. Galarian Slowpoke is actually also allowed, which could be very interesting, but it's not as nice. But yeah, like one of those poison type Pokemon that you can just bait out with this one, and then you can charm it down at the end. As the opponent makes a great play here, by the way, by catching the move on the Bruxish, which we're going to still stay in here because we're going to do more damage with the Bite here, and we can still farm them down with our own Gardevoir. We still have a shield left, which doesn't matter because you can just farm them down and win the game. So, like, this team honestly works out so well. Victini lead is actually more annoying than you might expect, because the Pokemon is fairly bulky. It's going to be able to survive the Bite fairly easily as well, and you can still, here at least my opponent stays in, which is really nice for me, but like, if they swap out afterwards, can be a little bit tricky. As the opponent goes to go into their Rapidash, here again, as said before, if you swap out, and you know that 2 Body Slams going to be able to knock them out anyway, and the opponent doesn't throw, you're going to be able to now have equal energy, and now even an energy advantage, because the opponent decides to go for a Mega Horn here. So this is going to be very cool for me, as now I can just go for another Body Slam. And sadly, it seems like I'm losing CMP here as well against the opponent, but I can still shoot up another Mega Horn, go for my Body Slam, going to knock them out here, and we will see what they have in the back, which is going to be a Raichu, which usually is going to be a little bit of a trickier one, especially if you give them a free fast move like I did here, but I will be able to still swap it into my Gardevoir, they're forced to debuff themselves with a Wild Charge. And like this, I'm still going to be fine as I still have a Moonstone on my Bruxish, knocking them out and winning this game. Next game going to be one of the longest one of them all, which is kind of funny because they're all not really long. We're going to have a horrible lead force, we're going to swap out again, and we're going to get out the Slowking. So, let's see if the opponent going to call this a bait here as well. We're going to go straight for the high horsepower, and they're actually going to use a shield here, so great play by them, as now they're going to be able to realign, usually at least. As they're going to go for a Surf, I will get to another high horsepower eventually, but I'm going to have to let this move go through. It's going to be, yeah, another Surf. I can go for the high horsepower. They definitely know about this now. So they're going to shield this move up, right? Yes, they do. So that's going to be a little bit more of an awkward one. That's like when not everything goes to plan for this team. So I'm going to be forced to use a shield here against the opponent's Surf as well. Again, it's really annoying as they're going to not get to another move, which is fine for me. But they're going to still have the Malama and their own Rapidash in the back. Rapidash can go for a Mega Horn to knock me out. And like this, I am kind of in a really bad spot right now, as I only going to have my Bruxish in the back there, which can go for, of course, the water type move here of Awkward Tail, but just does not do enough damage to knock them out, and they can now win the game for themselves. Of course, horrible lead, horrible save swap, and also a pretty mediocre Pokemon in the back for us, but definitely still working out fairly well this team, as you're going to encounter Victini in the lead. Again, the worst possible scenario for us is if they're going to stay in, go for a Recreate, and then swap out, which is exactly what the opponent did here right now. They can go for another charge move against the opponent though, which is going to be nice, as we're now going to put them into range where I can just farm them down with my Gardevoir. And you're going to see me use a shield here, which might not be the smartest idea, but I will be able to still charm down the opponent's Victini most likely. Let's see, it's going to be, yeah, the Victini coming in again. So we're going to use our final shield here right now in order to shield up the V-Create and see the opponent forfeit, as they're most likely going to have a Malama in the back, and they just didn't want to get farmed down by me. So, next opponent coming up, we're going to have a Rapidash against us in the lead here, which is going to be fine for us. We can swap out, get out a Bronzong, and you know already, high horsepower onto our Rapidash is a fairly decent move, and we will see here also why. Of course, the opponent didn't really expect this one, so now we can use a shield onto the heavy slam, farm them down, win the switch advantage here, while of course having a shield disadvantage here right now. I can still go for the body slam against the opponent, as they're going to most likely let those moves go through. Body slam is, I guess, still a little better than high horsepower, but I think I make a huge mistake here. Let's take a look at this one. They're going to shield this move up, and I sure just went straight for my body slam. And like this is going to actually be really costly for me. As you're going to see, they're going to be able to go for a Scorching Sand. I know that they have a Rapidash in the back, and I know that I need my shield here onto my Gardevoir. So at this point, it's really not looking too good for me, and I'm actually going to let this move go through, hoping that I can just farm them down with my other boy here, my Bruxish, because I have to hope that I can still go for the Psychic Fangs, which I actually cannot really in time, because they're going to be able to farm me down, and that's good to be it for this game. So if I just went for the Body Slam, I would have been able to win this game guaranteed, which, yeah, is my own mistake, of course, as said before. Honestly, I just didn't really pay too much attention with any of the battles, because they're so easy to play. You did just play it on the side, and you don't really have to really look at the screen. But of course, those are going to still kind of impact some of the games here. But it's literally like the easiest game, or like the easiest team that you can play in any kind of meta for Pokemon Go PvP. It's just so straightforward, so simple, so less skill involved. Like just farming down opponents with a bite as well as charm is going to be so nice. But here there's actually another issue for this team, which is going to be Cresselia, which I didn't really expect to see as an issue for like not this team, but in general for this meta, because I didn't expect to see it that often. But I'm fairly certain that Cresselia is actually a very strong Pokemon for this meta, so here, not really ideal for us, but we can move on to the next game, where we're going to have the Latias swapping in against us. Great Pokemon here, but doesn't really help them too much, so we can just farm them all the way down. As you're going to see the Slowbro coming back in, I'm going to be able to go into my Bruxish. I show rated out the clock most likely. And also, I didn't go for the Psychic Fangs here. The main reason is because I just literally didn't pay attention. Like, there's no real reason for it. I just didn't pay attention. Psychic Fangs is a better move to go for, because you're going to get the debuff onto the opponent's defense, which is of course very important, but I just didn't pay attention, and this is totally fine for me, because I'm still going to be able to win this game with my Rapidash in the back. Being able to just spam those body slams is very nice for this Pokemon. let's move on to the next game. We're going to have here Bruxish against Victini, which is going to be an interesting one as well, as we're going to be able to just go for the awkward here. But here we see that they go straight for the charge move, and I guess they have like some kind of bulk point here as well with their Victini. As they're going to swap out into a Bruxish, I was a little bit too slow or too sluggish here, as they're going to still get to another move, forcing me to use a shield here onto the Psychic Fangs, which is not ideal. And in comes the Bronzong, which is even worse for me, as I'm now forced to go for an Icicle Spear, which they, not Icicle Spear, a triple Axel, of course, as they're going to be able to now farm them all the way down. It's a little bit late, by the way. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning, because I'm going to be gone tomorrow morning, so I had to kind of record them right now, as I didn't really have the time there. And honestly, for the first 2 hours in the morning after like waking up, my voice is like so awkward that I really don't like to commentate. Sometimes I have to do it, of course, if we're going to encounter, like, I have like some new Pokemon encounters or something for community day when people send me stuff in. But like otherwise, I don't like to commentate early mornings. It's like such a pain. Like basically getting hit from a high horsepower from a Rapidash. Similar pain there, I would imagine. As you're going to see so many Victini leads, which is usually nice for us. But here the opponent makes, I guess, a small mistake by swapping into their Rapidash. But they're still going to be able to get a shield advantage. We always win this in the 2-shield scenario. Here they're actually going to allow us to still keep our Gardevoir alive as well, which is kind of wild, which is something that I didn't have to do. They had still definitely a body slam stored, but I can still go for the bait move here, as this is going to force the opponent to throw a charge move against us. We can go ahead and go into our Rapidash, which was a huge mistake because I should have went into my Bruxish, and I don't know why I did this. I expected actually, okay, I actually know why I did this, because I expected the opponent to swap out immediately. I was going into my Rapidash, but they didn't swap out immediately, so this was all a little bit more awkward. But it doesn't matter, I can still just bite them down after they debuff themselves, as we now are going to have the Slowking in the bag. We can even get a debuffing move onto them, and as they actually going to let this move go through, it's going to do so much damage to them, which I guess I didn't expect too much, as we are going to be able to win this game and move on to the next one. We're going to have another Victini in the lead, another staying in here, of course. This is going to be our best Victini answer. Also, one of the reasons, again, to use the high horsepower onto your Say Swap Rapidash here for this team. Basically trying to bait out both the Victini as well as like those poison type Pokemon, which is really, really good and really worked out well for me. As you're going to see the opponent going for the body slam here, knocking me out in the 0-shield scenario, which is not ideal for us, but I can go ahead and farm them down with the Rapidash as well, as they are going to swap into their Victini. Of course, we have high horsepower, right? I'm still going to go for the body slam, which might have been the, not the right play, but no, it actually is the right play, as they're going to use a shield against me, which is going to be nice for us, as we can use a shield as well. I can go for a burst slam after they debuff themselves, so it's definitely a guaranteed win for us here if they're going to let this move go through. They're actually going to have a Malamar in the back, and this is going to make this all a little bit more awkward. Malamar is a little bit tricky to deal with for this team, especially if you're going to have your Gardevoir gone. Gardevoir, of course, with the move Charm is going to do a ton of damage against them, but here we're going to see that we are not getting to the move just so barely with our small little fish. So we're going to rely on our Rapidash. Can we farm them down in time? We cannot. And I honestly think I might have been able to win this game again if I just played it right. If I just went for a body slam. Do you know if this was the range for the body slam? I'm fairly certain it just barely was, so most I would have been able to win this game. I just went straight for the body slam against the opponent, but I didn't. So now we're gonna move on to the next game where you can go for the body slam against the Rapidash. I hate the Rapidash mirror, to be fair. Mirror against Rapidash is just always so much pain. You never know if they're gonna go for the huge move, like nuke move, what they're going to have, which is usually Mega Horn in the meta, unless they're running like the spicy stuff like I do. But yeah. You never know if it's like a nuke or if it's like the body slam. It's like always so annoying. Speaking of having a nuke, we're going to have the high horsepower against the opponent's Galarian Slowking, which they're actually going to shield, which is really annoying for me, as I'm now forced to go ahead and go back into my Bruxish, trying to farm down with this Pokemon, which is going to be a very tough task here, as they're going to go for the Shadow Ball. I can still try to get to another move, but they're just going to generate energy too fast. And like this game is kind of over. I only have my Gardevoir, which is going to get basically knocked out here by a Surf. And this is going to be it for this one. So yeah, next game coming up here afterwards, we're going to see the final one of today, which is going to be definitely a little bit better for us, as it's going to include Bruxish against Malamar. Horrible lead again. We swap out. Let's see what we're going to get out another Pokemon that we don't want to face usually, but no, it's going to be actually the opponent's Galarian Pointer, which we can still go for the Body Slam spam, which is nice. But yeah, we're going to see here. I'm going to use a shield against the opponent. It's just not worth it for me to lose at this point of time, just because I don't use a shield. So I rather go for the shield, and I know that I'm going to have an energy advantage, so I'm going to be able to win this game for sure. So this is going to be amazing for us, as we now see that we can go for the yeah, normal type move, Body Slam here, going to get the shield from the opponent. Let's see what they're going to do. They're going to most likely go for another Body Slam. This was too fast for actually anything else, so we can go for another Body Slam as well. Going to get the knockout guaranteed. And we will see here right now who's the better Rapidash, as we can now see the Claydol coming in, where we can at least align our Bruxish, but they're going to most likely get to another charge move before I can even reach the Aqua Tail. So the Scorching Sun is going to go straight directly into my yeah, little fish boy, as I can at least swap out to my Gardevoir. And we see the opponent having a Melama on the back, which is going to be amazing for us. We can just do so much damage to them as well, as we can now see the final Pokemon here with Claydol gonna get knocked out by a 1 HP Aqua Tail from our Bruxish. So yeah, this is going to be the most toxic team of them all for the current Psychic Cup. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.